Welcome to Module 2. For this module, we've created a sample set of a small amount of data to walk through some of the counting, sorting, and creating a pivot table that might be a little easier to understand before we get to the data sets that have tens of thousands of rows that the students might be working with. So this instruction sheet that we've provided could walk students through the process as well. We always recommend even just walking through it together for the first time, but that's what I'm going to do right now. Just follow along with these instructions. So to get to the data set, you can click on this link and you'll see we created a set that's just 21 rows in length, so the students are able to see everything on one screen. So what we have here, the first things we're going to do, we like to talk about the variables. So those are just the column headers. So these are the things that are available for the students to analyze. So this is just a pretend set of Little League baseball data and statistics. So you can see they've played a lot of games. They've had a lot of at-bats here. But some things to look at. There's usually some type of identifying factor. So there is the last name, the first name, team, there's age, years in the league, batting average, at-bats, hits, home runs, walks, strikeouts, RBIs, or runs batted in. These are all the variables that the students have to analyze. One thing I'm going to do first, I usually like to keep a master sheet. So you can see I've titled this one master, and I've already walked through it once, so you can see my other tabs down here. But I'm going to duplicate this so that I'm still going to have a master. I'm going to rename this one. I'm just going to name it simulation for now, just so we have that master one untouched. So after talking about the variables, some other things we can do are the counting, the average, the sum, and the functions, and that's number 3 on the instruction sheet. So this is pretty simple to see. We can see all of the rows of data here. We can see there's 21 rows of data, but if you could not see everything in your data set, you may want to simply click on column A and go down to count, and it'll tell you how many rows of data that you do have, which would be 21 down here in this case, but it could be like 70,000 if you're working with a lot of data. One other thing I'd like to show the students too is just how to capture a certain section of cells. You can click in row A2, hit shift, and click on A21. And going back down here, there's 20 rows of data after the header row. Another way you can do that is just click on A2 and drag it down to A21, and that'll once again give you 20. What is the average age of the participant? So again, in this small set of data that we can see, it's easy to calculate. Once you get to the larger rows, it might be a little bit trickier. So we're going to go over to age. Use one of those two methods again. I'm going to click on D2. I'm going to hit shift and hold down shift until I click on D21. So this is going to give us the sum. That's not super useful here. We can also change it to the average. And you see sum, average, min, max, count. All of those are available to calculate. So we can click on average and see that 11.2 would be our average. This is going to go on to step 4 now here. I'm just looking over at my worksheet to make sure I follow the same steps that I'm giving you. So to sort, so this is very helpful. And again, we can see all the data here, but most of the spreadsheets you're going to work with, you're not going to be able to see everything on one screen. So if we want to sort, we're going to go up between A. So all of the columns have letters, all of the rows have numbers. We're going to go between A and 1, right in the corner, and that'll select all of our entire spreadsheet. We're going to go up to the toolbar and collect data, and we want to go to sort range. All right. We're going to click. So in this case, our data does have a header row. So that's our variable, our column headers. We want to sort by the teams here, I believe is what we're going to take a look at. How many are on each team? So if we go to team A to Z, which I think I had already sorted this one, so it was already in that order for us. You can see all of our Cardinals, Dodgers, Pirates, Yankees are all together. Just another real quick one I'll do for you too. since that was already there, we could do the same thing. Say we wanted to sort by years in the league. Let's see. And you can see now we could count. We have what? Let's do our average still. We have 8 first year. We have 7 that are second year. And then we have 5 that have been in the league for 3 years. All right, so what we want to do next is to actually create our pivot table. So again, this might not seem super useful. A lot of what we're going to do next, you could probably do just by looking at this one page, one screen spreadsheet. But once you get to the dog data that's got 70,000, 78,000 rows of data, you're going to need another tool to help analyze that efficiently. So we're going to show you how to do this with a smaller spreadsheet here. So one thing that we have to do is to remember to add in a number. So each has an identification name, but the pivot table, you need an independent number to help analyze here. So we need to insert a row to the left of column A. So I'm going to click on A. You can control click, go to insert to the left. You can go up to the top, insert column to the left. Whatever method you are comfortable with is fine. I usually type num just for number. And here is another trick, which it would be easy to give each of these an independent number, just typing in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way down to 20. But again, with 70,000, not quite so easy. So we're going to show you a way to work around that once you get to larger sheets. So obviously my first one's going to be 1. Now I'm going to type in a formula. So anytime you need to do a formula, you need to hit the equals sign. And then it knows it's going to calculate a formula. I'm going to click on A2. That's going to pull in my number 1, the plus sign, plus 1. So we're just adding 1 to that number it's pulling in from the row above, and hit enter, which gives us 2. Again, this is easy to do for this one, but won't be as easy in the future. So I want to teach you the skills here. We're going to copy this formula, and then I usually go down to the row below it. So I have A4. I'm going to hold down that shift, and I'm going to click on A21. These are all the cells that I want to fill with this formula. And then I'm going to paste it in. So each has its own identification number here. Just a couple of formatting things. Some things I like to do is shorten up the length here, the width, of that column. If you just double click between A and B, and also we'll add in some borders just so it's consistent with the rest of the data here. All right, so next we're going to create our pivot table so that we can start analyzing and answering some questions. So what we need to do here, so we only want the cells that contain data. So we're not going to go back and select everything like we did with the sort. We just want the cells with the data in it. So I typically, if you have a long set of data, take the toolbar, scroll all the way down, scroll all the way over until I get to that very last column and row. So in this case, it's going to be M21. So I'm going to click here. I'm going to hold down shift, and I'm going to click on that num in A1. So it's only selecting the cells with data. We're going to go back to data now on the menu bar, and this time we're going to go down to pivot table and select it. We want a new spreadsheet. It gets too confusing on existing. It usually defaults to new sheet. If not, click new sheet and then create. And I will say this is ever changing in Google Sheets. When I went to walk through this the other day, it was even different than when I was teaching it this school year. They've changed it up a little bit, but really once you get comfortable, you're going to know your way around. And if they do make little tweaks here and there, you should be able to find them out. The main things you need are really the values in the rows to add in here. So here's your pivot table here. And here's how these are all used, these variables, to help set it up. So the first thing we want to do is go to our values, and we're going to click add, and that's where our number comes into play. So right now it's summing it. That's not helpful to us at all. It usually defaults to sum. We're going to click next to sum and go to count. So now we have our 20. So we'll start with the most basics. How many 12-year-olds are there in the league? Again, we could have looked at that screen, counted them up with 70,000 plus rows of data. that would take forever. So super simple here. We're going to go up to rows. We're going to click add, and we want, what did we have here? Their age. And it shows you really easily, really quickly, we have 5 10-year-olds, 6 11-year-olds, and 9 12-year-olds to help answer that question. Once we're done with analyzing that question, all you do is go over by age, click X, and it takes you back to that 20. Next question I have on the sheet is how many participants are batting 500 or higher? So we're going to go back to rows. We're going to add batting average in here, and you can see we have a variety of different, actually everybody has their own individual unique batting average, it looks like. We're going to go down to the bottom. We only have one that is over 500, one batting 600. So the answer there would be one. One little trick here I'll show you. So this is going from lowest to highest. If we ever went highest to lowest, over here in the chart, just click descending, and that'll sort the opposite direction for us. All right, one thing I want to show you too, I just clicked off that to show you how that panel went away on the right. If you ever lose that panel to the right, just click back in your pivot table anywhere and it'll reappear. All right, so we've done the batting average. We're over to page 3 on your instruction sheet. The next question is how many participants have not hit a home run? So we're going to exit out of batting average. We're going to add in home runs. All right, real simple, right at the top of our screen. Home runs, 0. We have 7 people that have not hit a home run this year. All right, the next thing we're going to do before we get into a little bit of segmentation and taking a look at multiple variables is just to see how many players we have on each team. So we're going to exit out of there, go back to our rows and team, and you can see we're evenly split here of the participants that we're analyzing. We're analyzing 5 from each of the teams. For this next question, though, we're going to leave this here, but we're going to do a little bit with this one. We're going to take a look at 2 variables at a time. For I, on your instruction sheet, what team has the highest batting average? So we're going to get a little tricky here. We've got our team in already, but this time we're going to go down to value. Okay. We're going to close out the X there. We're not just going to count them up, so we're going to get rid of our values. We're going to click add, and we want to take a look at the batting average. So we have our teams as our first variable, but we want to take a look at the average by team. So we're going to go to batting average. And right now it's giving us the sum of the batting average, which that's not, we don't want to add up all 5. I mean, I guess that could be somewhat meaningful, but I've never seen in baseball analysis anybody adding the teams together. Well, they usually look at the average. So right here where it says sum, which I said it always defaults to, we're just going to go up to average. And this will give us our batting average by team. The grand total here is one thing to point out too. That would be the average for the whole league. And then this would be the average by team. So you can see the Cardinals 296, Dodgers 349, Pirates 336, and the Yankees 320. So that would give us the Dodgers currently have the highest batting average per team. We'll do one more here together before you walk through some of the remaining questions on the module on your own. So we're going to click out of teams. The next question is, do older participants have a higher batting average? Because you would think, yeah, you're a little bit older, you've probably been in the league longer, you might have a little bit of a higher batting average. This time, oops, not columns, we're going to go back to rows. We're going to add in years in the league. And you'll see here, yes, our thoughts were correct. Those that have been in the league do have a higher batting average. 393 for the 3rd year, 345 for the 2nd, and 266 for those in their 1st year. One more quick one we'll do is just to swap out the age, and taking a look by age does go along with the years in the league. With the oldest participants, the 12-year-olds have a pretty high average here at 385. It's above our league total. 11-year-olds 285 and 10-year-olds down to 267. So that's just how to do some simple sorting, counting, and creating a pivot table with a smaller, manageable set of data. This is great to practice together. Work out any kinks that you might have, because the next activity, the dog license data, we will get into much larger set of data. Please, as always, let us know if you do have any questions.